Hello and welcome. This is the Robert Rose Sports Podcast, and this is our first episode ever, so welcome to all those who are new to this. I'm going to be discussing the biggest issue in sports today and give a nice top 10 list at the end of it to keep things entertaining and fun. All this and more will be coming up very soon on the Robert Rose Sports Podcast. Hello and welcome. This is the Robert Rose Sports Podcast. Number one, just going to jump right into it. If you don't know me, that's what I do here. And the NFL draft was a couple weeks ago, I know, but it's something I still want to talk about a little bit. Dolphins made a very controversial pick by getting Ryan Tannehill, 8th overall in the first round of the draft. He was a wide receiver at Texas A&M, but he switched to quarterback after his sophomore season, I believe. And a lot of people are upset by by the Dolphins' decision. That wasn't his decision by picking him in the first round. This doesn't, to me, it's not the right move for Miami. I think I think Brandon Weeden's a better choice at quarterback than he was, even though Weeden's a little bit older. The Dolphins needed somebody who I think had a lot more experience at playing quarterback, had a better arm, I think worked with a more complex offense than Tannehill did. Miami just, they have made, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, I feel really sorry for you because they have to be the most frustrating team every year to watch because they don't even make an effort to get better. You know, ever since Dan Marino left, they have gone cheap on the quarterback position. And that is the one position in sports that can completely change how a team plays. There's no other position in sports. And that's the one position you got to spend all your money on. If you look at all the teams that have good quarterbacks, they're in the playoffs every season. Miami Dolphins haven't had a good quarterback since Dan Marino, and now they draft some guy who was a wide receiver at Texas A&M. Number one, Tannehill's not going to start for 2 years. He's going to sit behind David Garrard and Matt Moore, two guys who have very mediocre records as starting quarterbacks, two guys who are veterans and obviously aren't what they used to be. And I think David Garrard was completely overrated when he started in Jacksonville for the few seasons he was there. Ryan Tannehill was a wrong choice. Wrong choice. What system does he really have to work into at Miami? They need Dak now. What's he going to really learn from David Garrard and Matt Moore? What's he going to learn from a Wildcat offense that doesn't work anymore? What is he going to learn from a team that has absolutely no other weapons at wide receiver besides Brandon Marshall, but they got rid of him? Your best player, Miami, is Jake Long, an offensive lineman. Offensive linemen don't score touchdowns. Offensive linemen do not change the way a game can be played. And I hope Tannehill's good. I hope he's great. Dolphins are my favorite team, but I live down here in Florida. I have to sit and watch him every week because I don't have DirecTV. I don't get the sports package where I can watch every game I want. I got to sit and endure the Dolphins. So please, at least be good for me, Miami. I hope Tannehill's good. Do I think it will happen? No. I think it was a huge miss. I think it's a huge miss what they did. He has a terrible throwing motion. He's inexperienced at the position. He has no weapons around him, and he's learning from a 35-year-old veteran quarterback who really was never that great to begin with. It's just a system that always fails. And Miami never does anything to fix it. When something is broken, like the system they have for bringing up players there, most teams would fix it. It's like these guys don't even care there anymore. And this isn't like they just recently given up. It's like ever since Marino left, it's like they stopped caring. They have made no effort whatsoever to make the Dolphins better. You got rid of Brandon Marshall because he's a bad person. Okay, I understand, yeah, he could be a bad locker room guy, but what locker room do they have? What locker room do they have? He's probably the best leader they have in the locker room. And here's a news flash for the Miami Dolphins. If you look at every player in the NFL, not every player, but most players in the NFL, they aren't good people. I'm not a psychiatrist. I probably never will be. And you could criticize me for saying this all you want, but if you're 6'8", 250 pounds, and you are paid $20 million a year to go out there, wear a helmet, and hit people as hard as you possibly can. That will probably make you a pretty violent person. Now, I honestly don't care. Will you be there on Sunday to be that violent person we know you are? You are? Awesome. Good. Go beat up your fiance and get stabbed by her. Go take your nice $100,000 SUV and drive it at 150 miles an hour while you're all, wasted pretty much. Okay? I don't care. I don't care if you celebrate in the end zone too long and act arrogant. Have a 10-minute tea party in the end zone for all I care. If you're going to criticize them for touchdown celebrations too, are you going to be there on Sunday? If you are, awesome, because you're all Miami has. But no, we're going to send you to Chicago. You've caught too many touchdown passes for us. Goodbye, Brandon Marshall. Go to Chicago. Jake Long, you're not missing enough blocks. We're going to get him out of there in a few years. He's our best player, and he'll be gone. He's an offensive lineman. Oh, my God. I don't understand. I think I could be a better general manager than the guy the Dolphins have running the show over there, because it's obviously not working. Tannehill's not going to be good. I don't know what they saw in him, but they saw something. But from what has been proven to me is that the Dolphins don't know how to draft. They don't know how to draft. They don't see talent. They don't see. They think they think they can find a way to go cheap at the quarterback position when you can't. You can't play Moneyball. In a sense, like in the movie with Brad Pitt, you can't play Moneyball in football. You can't. There's no way around it. There's no way you could change the game like the Oakland Athletics did by finding hidden talent. Because you can't buy touchdowns like you can buy runs in baseball. You buy talent in football. You buy a good locker room guy in football. You buy a quarterback. You buy somebody who can change the whole direction around 360 degrees. The NFL, Miami Dolphins had their own issues, but the NFL has some of their issues, like the bounty scandal with the Saints and Junior Seau's death, with how tragic that was. That was awful. And if fans out there want to continue to criticize, Goodell for the suspensions that he handed out to Saints players, you just had the prime example of Junior Seau as well. In the NFL for what happened to him. He shot himself simply because of concussions. And that's another issue. I'm going to, stay on that issue. That's going to be going on for the next few weeks. But I figured I'd talk about the NFL draft today since, people still talk about it. It's a little dated, I know. But I thought you'd like to enjoy to hear my opinion on it. And I'd like to hear your opinion on it. And, just come back next week. I hope you enjoyed the show. But before I go, I'm going to do a top 10 list since I'm, in a sense, NFLing it out today. I'm going to do a top 10 most memorable moments in the history of the National Football League. Number 10, this one involved everybody's favorite quarterback. Yes, Brett Favre. In 2009, he played his first game against the Green Bay Packers. That was the most watched thing in television history. Number 9 was John Elway in Super Bowl 32. He finally gets a Super Bowl ring. We all remember the classic statement, "This one's for John," when they lift up the Lombardi Trophy for him. The Buffalo Bills at number 8 were the 1992 AFC wildcard team. They overcame a 35-3 deficit at halftime over the Houston Oilers, and they came back to win 41-38 in overtime. Number 7 was John Elway, the 1986 AFC Championship game, also known as The Drive. Broncos were down 20-13, I believe. Elway drove the Broncos 98 yards in the bitter cold and the wind coming off the lake in Cleveland. And the Broncos won that game in overtime, 26-20, I believe. Joe Namath, he guaranteed that the Jets would win the Super Bowl over the heavily favored Baltimore Colts, who were 15-1 that entire season. Emmitt Smith, 2002, he broke Walter Payton's all-time rushing record, the famous run against the Seattle Seahawks. That was a great moment for Emmitt. Number 4 is Bart Starr in the 67 NFC Championship, also known as the Ice Bowl, -17 degrees with a wind chill of -34 degrees. In Green Bay, Wisconsin, the heating system under the stadium froze, so it was like playing on an ice rink. Bart Starr ran up to Vince Lombardi, said, I don't think we should hand this one off. We don't have the footing. I'll run a quarterback sneak and I'll get in, and he did. Number 3 was David Tyree in Super Bowl 42, the helmet catch, the one where Eli Manning escaped the sack, threw it up to David Tyree, and Tyree caught it with one hand off his helmet to beat the undefeated Patriots 17-14. Number 2 was Dwight Clark in the 1981 NFC Championship game, also known as the catch. Joe Montana set up a dynasty with that play with 55 seconds to go. 49ers were down 27-21 against the Dallas Cowboys when they were at the height of America's team. Tom Landry, their coach. Joe Montana rolls out in the pocket and throws it up. Dwight Clark just barely catches it with his fingertips, and they go on to win the NFC Championship game, go to the Super Bowl, and they win that one 26-20 over the Bengals. Number 1 was Brett Favre. In 2004, he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdown passes just 2 days after his father died. Say I'm a little biased because I'm a Packer fan, but I don't know how you could really argue that moment because of what that did for the game. I think that was just truly amazing. I couldn't imagine going out there just 2 days after your dad died. Favre played the way he did, of course, against the Oakland Raiders in such a hostile environment, known as the Black Hole, where all the Raiders fans dress up like Darth Vader and wear those skull masks and are screaming at you and stuff. And they even gave him a standing ovation, which just shows how much the league has respect for Brett Favre. And you can say what you want about the guy, but the guy has done so much for the NFL. He's done so much for the game of football that it's hard to just kind of remember at the end of his career where he started to get those injuries and threw all those interceptions, but you don't remember the years with the Packers where he threw all the great touchdown passes and all the good comebacks. And he was actually a pretty clutch quarterback, and that just proved how clutch he could be for his team that day. Well, that's all for my sports podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be coming back next week with some more recent stories in the NFL draft and another top 10 list, probably involving a different sport. Thank you for listening. I'm Robert Rose, and this was the Robert Rose Sports Podcast.